What's up, everybody? 3D Theory here. It is July 31st, 2024 at 9:36 a.m. and this is vlog number 20. Wow, went by so quickly. We got a number of things to cover today. First one I'm going to cover is which one won. And the winner is number 1. So that's the total right there. There's 11 votes for the stealth geometric furniture. And that's the one we're going to be working on. And someone did comment that they want to see something else modeled out. Maybe we can do that in a future episode or future vlog. They wanted to see this modeled out here, Rainbow Friends Green. And yeah, this finished up. I do have footage of that from yesterday. The back turned out that way. I do talk about it in yesterday's video, and as a matter of fact, I'm gonna put that in right now when I take it off the build plate and I talk about it and I show you. So we'll come back when that's done. Hey, what's up, guys? So it is still July 30th. It's 1:37 p.m. and this finally finished up and it's looking real sweet. I needed to free up the machine so I can continue production here, so that's why I'm kind of filming today. And I wanted to kind of take this off and show you the result right off the build plate. So I'm gonna get this thing taken off, switch out those filaments there. The white ran out. I'm very thankful for those free white filaments that come out with the printer, because that's pretty much what saved me. I ran out of that first bit and then I ended up opening that and putting it on there, and it helped finish up the white here. But the red, the green, there's still enough. There was definitely enough green, and the black. So let's get this thing off. One thing I do want to mention though, and I'm sure you've seen it everywhere, and for those who have the AMS Lite, it does release a lot of trash. It feels wasteful for sure, but I guess that's the expense for having colored prints. And there's also a prime tower here, and it feels pretty dense too. But nonetheless, let's get this off the build plate and take a look at it. Alright guys, so let's get this thing off of here. Let's see how easy it is. That was pretty simple. There you go. That was real easy to take off of there. So this is the color green I modeled based off of that design that they gave me, family members who wanted it for their 2 boys. And the back's looking a little rough. That one just came off right off the leg there. Back's looking a little rough, but I guess that's just, it is what it is. I could have printed it standing up and it wouldn't have had that, but it would have taken, I think, 2 more hours and more filament that I didn't know if I had any. As you can see, I was running pretty low, so I printed it in this orientation. And the front looks great though. Let's see, let's take these off. All these tree supports are coming off like a charm. There's a little bit of, there's like holes here, so the back where the tree supports were out might be the settings I ended up using. This one looks good, but this one definitely does have a little bit of rough texture to it, and that's pretty much it. But other than that, the colors came out great. It's looking awesome. Let me turn on this light. And oh yeah, there's a little bit more here, like a little raft. And there you have it. It feels strong. I had to make another one of these before on my Creality printer, but I had to glue everything together. This is just so much more convenient for sure. So there you have it, Rainbow Friends Green. I don't know what it's about, but it was fun modeling this. Took me about 2 hours. Just quickly modeled it up. And again, it's quite a bit of, you know, wasted filament, but for now, it's the state of color printing. So overall, still really cool. First AMS print I was able to make, like with a character, and that needed it. There does seem to be some sort of a layer shift happening, or some sort of layer something going on right here. I don't quite know what it is, but here, let me just zoom into it. It's on the leg, on the thigh area. Yeah, there you go. I don't quite know what that is, but maybe I could play with orientation later. Maybe it's really important to orientate it in a way where it will minimize all those defects, especially because it's a organic shape as opposed to like a geometric shape. It's probably a little more challenging to get a really clean looking one in a funky position. So maybe if I did it like this, it would have done a better job. I assume it would. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly take these off here. And I did have to lubricate the Y-axis on guide rail actually on this and printer number 1 today. So that was definitely needed. Alright guys, there you have it. So all 4 is loaded up. And we did the first one. We have to change all of these here. Alright guys, so I do have to change these back. So let's go ahead and change that back to PETG. And I'm gonna do gray and all of them. So we'll do number 2 real quick, gray again, and then we'll do this one here. Okay, and lastly number 3. There you have it. All right, so the last thing I printed was a right latch, so we do left latch now. All right, we'll start with the lowest one, which is number 1. Cool. Very nice. Alright guys, so that was about Rainbow Friends Green here. This is ready for my family member. It's really cool, you know, modeling this thing and doing that zero tolerance for the tongue, teeth, eyes, and pupils. So that worked out great. I don't quite understand that, but they like it, so that's what matters. Ah, nice coffee. If only we can 3D print cups. That would be really cool. Anywho's, like cups we could actually drink coffee out of. That would be nice. Someone's going to be like, you know what? You could actually do that. And I'd be like, that's so cool. All right. Moving on from that. So, before we get to that, let's go to this. Actually, let's go to this. So it's 77.9 degrees in the 3D printer room. As you know, I got to talk about this real quick. These are the Star Wars throne for your phones, available for free on my Maker World. Link is in the description below. You can pop your phone on there, you can tilt the backs, and have them any which way you'd like. They're really cool desk pieces for free on my Maker World. You can put your Apple AirPod there. Here's a little makeshift phone, so you can see how it works. Bam, bam. And they have tilting backs. It's free on the Maker World. Enjoy, have fun. So when I mentioned yesterday what I'm going to be 3D modeling for my first object, it was this. So I got this blue filament for real cheap on Amazon. It was like on sale like 2 times. So I got it for like 10 bucks. So I was like, that's great. It's called, if you guys are interested, it's Feroz, PETG. I got some white PETG there. And made a little keychain. I'm aware you can make keychains on Maker or Bamboo Studio, but I needed to show you guys how modeling is in Maya with a simple object, and I figured this would be pretty cool. We'll get that off in a bit. I also got some keychain rings, so we can actually make the keychain, and I might actually put this on my Etsy shop if you guys are interested. Let me know in the comments. I can definitely make this available on the Etsy shop. And yeah, moving on, we got a lot of prints from this printer. In all honesty, these 2 plates came off of those 2 there. Because I was printing out the stuffed table here, I couldn't do a set, but I did have 2 extra latches, 1 left, 1 right extra. And so I printed them out down here. So as you can tell, there's a lot going on. Definitely production needs to continue, and we're almost full down here. So maybe just like 1 more or 2 more, if anything. Yeah. I'd probably need to change out this spool. Yeah, I'll probably change that out. Let me just double check which one was the plate or the latch that used more filament. I always forget, so I wrote it here. Latch is 95, plate is 117. Okay, so actually that piece of filament, whatever is left here, that roll of filament should still be enough for this. Very nice. These look like they still have a good amount of filament. Same with that one. So I'm gonna get production going. I do have the 3D model, the 3D modeling in Maya of this. So this video might be a little longer. The 3D modeling I'm gonna include at the end of this video. I just might put together the stealth table some other day, maybe in tomorrow's vlog, because if I do everything right now, it'll just be a super long video. So let's get production going. All right, guys, let's just get this show on the road. Okay. Just gonna take this off really quick. Okay. This is the right side, so we're gonna do right. And this is the left side, so we're going to do the left. There you go. All right, guys, and as you know, I've been just taking the plates off, but let me just do this first. All right. Very nice. Looking great. Awesome, awesome. Very clean. Someone in the comments had actually a pretty good idea of switching out these plates up top. You know, I'm 6'1", so I don't have to bend over and put these plates back. I can do it standing up there. That was actually a really great idea. Now time for this one. All right, I'm just gonna take this thing off. Run of the mill. See this back tooth here? There you go. I think I got it. Maybe I'm just too particular about making this all work out perfectly. All right, we're good to go. And as you can tell, that sound, it's not as strong as before because I put that cardboard piece right there and one on the other side too. So it definitely helped. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take this off. Let me get the coffee out of the filament in your coffee zone. Very nice. All good? Yeah, all good. That looks so clean. Gosh, I really love these prints. There's a little bit of support material there. I'm gonna take it out with this here snipper. All right. Let's get a keychain ring on it. That's gonna be cool. And since I'm showing this before the 3D modeling, that issue towards the end where I saw like white on those edges, it's non-existent here. So I don't know why that happened, but it's all good. So let me grab one of these joining rings. All right. And I'll probably need a pair of pliers for this. All right, we got our pliers. Now I'm gonna stick this joining ring here. I'm gonna stick that joining ring there. There you have it. And I'm just gonna close this up. Very cool. There you have it, guys. A 3D Theory keychain. And you know what? I am going to make this available. I'm going to bring back my Etsy shop and I'll put this on there. And you guys can go pick this up. Not sure if I'll have the link ready by this video, but soon enough, it'll be up there. You can get this, have your 3D Theory PETG printed keychain. Super cool. All right, now let's jump into the computer and I'll show you how I modeled this really quick in Maya. Hey, what's up everybody? So we're here on my YouTube channel and I'm just gonna take a screen cap of the 3D Theory logo and we're gonna create a keychain out of it. And I'm aware that in Bamboo Studio there's a keychain tool that you can use that makes things very simple, and that'll just kind of defeat the purpose of showing you Maya and the tools. So I had mentioned in yesterday's vlog and possibly in the vlog before that, that I already had one thing planned out to model, and this was it. It was going to be a keychain 3D Theory logo. So I'm going to go ahead and create a snippet. This is just in your PC. It comes with all PCs here, the snipping tool. And that looks good to me. All right, and if you guys want to buy Maya, I suggest going to Google and typing in Maya Indie. And so that's just Maya Indie here, stands for Maya Independent. And the price is a lot better than if you were to get it from Maya itself. You're going to be paying around $1,875 a year or $235 a month. And as you're going to see here on Maya Indie, it's a lot more affordable. So you go to Are You Eligible? Your annual gross revenue from creative work must be less than $100,000, and if it is, just buy Maya Indie. And you're going to pay $305 for 1 year. And that's one heck of a deal if you ask me. All right guys, so this is Autodesk Maya, and this is our user interface here. Here's our viewport. And if you click spacebar, you got your orthographic views, top, front, and side. And you see that right here, top, front, and side. We're gonna work in top view here. You can change the background color if you want. So you just click Alt and B, and it changes from these colors. You could also customize, but we're not gonna get into that right now. We're just gonna keep it very simple and show you the basics here. Now we wanna make sure we're working in real world scale because we're gonna be 3D printing. So we're gonna go over here with the running man and the gear icon, go to settings, and then I'm gonna be working in millimeters here today. And I want to first decide how big I'm going to make this keychain. So there are no hard and fast rules for this. By the way, excuse the extremely clean working area. I want my keychain to be about this big. And so what I'm going to do is use my calipers here to get that measurement. All right, so I went ahead and I got the rough measurement, and it's about 33 millimeters, 33.9 millimeters. And I do like the size of that, but I'm just gonna round up for fun and do 35 millimeters. I think that's a good size. And now that we know how big we wanna make the keychain, which is 35 millimeters, we can go in with some intention here. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and click View and Image Plane to import the 3D Theory logo that I took a snippet of. And I'm gonna click Import Image here. So, we want to make sure it's 35 millimeters, so I'm going to go ahead and create a cube. And we had already set it to millimeters, so you want to make sure you set your units first, then create any sort of geometry. And here are your primitives, by the way. You got your sphere, cube, cylinder, cone, torus, and so on and so forth. Now, to get real-world accurate measurement, anything you make in Maya, you need to multiply it by 10. So that right there, as you can see here, is 1 millimeter. It's kind of a long-winded explanation, but just know that if you work in Maya, everything you do has to be multiplied by 10 in this world scale over here. So always do that in the beginning, and you'll see me do it too, and I'll always mention it. Just to note here, Maya is mainly for film and animation, so it's not really a design tool per se, but it has all the tools you need for designing a product, a real world product. So then I'm gonna go ahead and click this see-through mode on my geometry and turn off this grid. Since I've already selected my cube here, which you can see right here in the outliner, I'm gonna go over here to the stack and type in 35 here, because that's what we want to have. Now that's 35 right there. So what am I gonna do now? I'm gonna scale this up to match the 35 millimeters. It's a little hard to see, so I'm gonna backtrack here. I'm gonna show the geometry again by clicking this button instead. I'm gonna go into my perspective, and I'm gonna show you move, rotate, and scale really quick. It's right here, move, rotate, and scale. Also the keys W, E, and R. And we're gonna need the move tool, and we're gonna move it up. Why are we moving it up? Because our orthographic camera is right here. And we want our image plane to be in front of our object we're modeling, and I'll show you why. So now that it's in front of the object we're modeling, we can't see the object we're modeling. So So I'm going to go here in the outliner and click on our image plane. Then I'm going to go here to the attribute editor, and I'm going to lower this alpha gain so I can see through it. And that about looks good to me. I'm going to continue to scale by clicking R, and scale to the top and bottom, you know, left and right, whatever it is, as best as I can. I'm going to move the image plane to match the cube because the cube is at origin proper. So I trust the cube's position, not the image planes. And I'm just going to continue scaling, and that right there should be 35 millimeters. Now that I know that's 35 millimeters, I'm going to go ahead and grab this image plane, go to Channel Box, Layer Editor, go to my layers, and create a layer from your selected object. So now my image plane is selected. Then I'm going to go over here and click this once and twice to make a reference layer, which means that I cannot touch it. I can model and it won't get touched, but our cube is still there. I'm going to name this layer image plane IP. And then while I have my cube selected, I'm going to go to layers and create layer from selected again. I'm going to call this measuring cube, and I'm just going to save that. And hide it. V stands for visibility. Okay, so now we have our logo at 35 millimeters real world scale. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create another cube, and I'm going to just scale that up. I'm going to scale it up so it's the size it needs to be, and I'm going to scale it this way to the edges here where they're lining up here and here, and I'm going to want to create a center line. And to do that, I'm going to go to Mesh Tools, Multi-Cut. This is one of our tools here. So if I hold Control and middle mouse button, it'll place a line directly in the middle there. I'll show you more about this tool a little later. One thing I do want to mention now is right mouse button brings up a pop-up menu to select your edges, your vertices, and your faces. So I can select my edges, my vertices, or my faces. And that's the fundamentals of modeling in Maya. You push and pull those three things to create objects that you want. So now that we created this center line to our object, I'm going to go ahead and delete one half of this model. So that half has been deleted, and I'll show you why. We can make our lives easier by only modeling one half and then duplicating it over, especially if it's symmetrical. In this case, it's symmetrical up to a certain point, but I'll show you how easy it is to make it all work in the end. So then I'm just going to click Shift here to have our extrude option, or you can go to Edit Mesh, Extrude, and it'll bring this new special gizmo over here, but we don't need that. We just want to click W for the move tool, and we can get this extruded. So I'm going to go to my verts, short for vertices, bring this down until it looks right. There you have it. You know what? There's one thing I forgot to do. Let's go over to perspective here. This thing is still a cube. I don't need all of this. I just needed these two faces. So I'm going to click right mouse button, faces, grab that, and click the delete button. There you have it. That's all we need for now. So let's go back to our top view, click this edge, bring it down, line that up, and there you have it. I'm going to grab that vert once again, bring that down. Perfect. That's what I wanted. Let's go back to object mode. All right, we're looking pretty good here. So we have our geometry lined up. So from this point on, it's going to be pretty easy. I'm just going to click that edge, hold Shift while I'm over this arrow, and extrude. I'm going to bring that down until it lines up nicely. And I'm just going to keep bringing that out until it's lined up there to that edge. And that's looking really nice right there. Likewise, I'm going to do the same thing for this one. I'm going to hold Shift and extrude out and bring that down. There you have it. One side looks a little bit thicker. So for that reason, I'm going to click this line here. Now I want to make it as clean as possible. So I'm holding Control and right mouse button, edge ring utilities, edge ring and split, and that puts a line smack dab in the middle here. And I'm just going to delete everything over here. Okay, so now we just have 1/4 of this design that we're working on. So now I just want to grab this vert and using this green box, which allows you to move in one direction less. So this green box allows you to move in Z and X. This blue box allows you to move in Y and X. And this square allows you to move in Y and Z only. So knowing that, I'm holding this green box and bringing it here and lining it up. Once that's lined up, I'm going to go over to Edge, click my Move tool, Shift, and Extrude. All right. Now I'm going to grab this vertice, make sure I'm in my Move tool, hold letter V. And what that does is it magnetizes to vertices. So anywhere there's a vertex here, which we have one there, and there, it's going to magnetize to those points. So in this case, I want to magnetize to this point to make it completely straight. And likewise, I'm going to grab these two, hold V once again, push up so I can magnetize here. And we're pretty much done with modeling here out the 3D. And what we're going to do now is, since our pivot point is already where we need it to be, but I'm going to show you, if our pivot point, let's say, was here, we're going to have everything rotate around that pivot point. But we want to bring it to where we can duplicate our object down to the and to the left. So we're going to duplicate down Z. And by the way, I got to mention to you that in Maya, the orientation is Z is through, X is left and right, and Y is up and down. But obviously in the 3D printing world, Z is up, and X and Y, X is being left and right, Y is being through, meaning forward and backward. So I'm going to go over here to Edit and Duplicate Special. This box here gives you options. I'm just going to go ahead and click Edit and reset the tool just in case there are any changes done. And just to be safe, there can be errors if you have some sort of history here and here, because Maya collects your history as you work on it. So I'm just going to go ahead and go Modify, Freeze Transformations, and that's going to freeze all these back down to 0. Modify Freeze Transformations, and then I'm going to go to Edit, Delete by Type, History. And you're going to see that all this history is going to get deleted. These are every piece of action I've done to this piece of geometry. So let's go to Edit, Delete by Type, History. So now it's a clean piece of geometry. Now we're going to scale this thing in Z. And you know it's Z because it's always X, Y, and Z. So I'm going to click -1 and Duplicate Special. There you have it. It's been duplicated. But there's two models here. And I see that it's a little bit off, and I'm going to bring that up just like that. There you have it. And I'm going to match it by magnetizing to verts. And there you go. It's just a small little tweak. Okay. Now that we have these two objects, I'm going to combine them. Mesh, combine. And they're still two separate objects. They've just been combined in name. To combine it fully, I'll show you here. You want to go to Display, Polygons, Custom Polygon Display, and you have these settings here. You want to go to Border the Edges, and we're going to put 8. and we're just going to click apply and close. So wherever there's a thick edge, it's a free border. It's not connected to anything. So we're going to go to verts, select these verts, hold shift, right mouse button, merge vertices, and we're going to go to the option box here. And this is also in edit mesh, merge. We're going to go to the option box here, and the threshold means how far do vertices need to be from each other for them to be combined as one. Because right now, where these vertices are and these vertices are, there's actually 2 verts here and 2 verts here, creating a total of 4 here, because 2 are sitting on top of each other. And we can combine it. So if they're sitting on top of each other, it's going to require a very low threshold for those vertices to merge as one. So I'm going to click merge or apply, because merge will close this dialog box and I want to keep it open. And as you can tell, that hard border disappeared. We'll do the same thing here. So those are combined as one. And just to show you, there you go. All right, now that we have this D, I'm going to create the 3. So I'm going to go ahead and click D, which is kind of confusing because we're working on the letter D, but the key D enables you to move the pivot around. So then you want to click V, which magnetizes again. And while holding V, you're going to click this middle part and bring it to the center there. Now I'm going to click D again to disable edit pivot mode. Now this time I'm going to scale in X. So let's go to edit, duplicate special. I'm going to reset, and we're going to scale in X and duplicate special. So there you have it. And all we need to do is now open up this cube area here and model out this protruding piece. And it's going to be very easy. So we're going to grab these 2 edges here, and I'm just going to bring them up. There you have it. And I'm going to go ahead and create another edge by clicking on the multi-cut tool and mesh tools here. And outside of the geometry here, I'm going to hold shift and left mouse button and drag. And that enables me to cut the highlighted geometry, which is the left side here. And there you have it. I have another edge here and here. I'm actually going to bring that up a little bit to line it up better. Now I know there's a gap here, so I'm just going to click the face and simply delete it. And I know there's a protrusion here, so I'm going to click that edge, hold shift, hover over the arrow, and extrude that. All right, we got the makings of a 3 and a D, but we want to bring them together. So as you can remember, we go to mesh, combine, but then we need to merge this as one piece of geometry. So I'm going to go over to verts, and here's a little bit of an issue. So we have 2 lines here that are not lining up here. So we're going to have to create lines so that it actually has vertices to merge to. So holding my V key and bringing this up, I line that up. I'm going to go over to mesh tools again, multi-cut, holding control while I'm over this piece of geometry enables me to create an edge. I can either click left mouse button wherever I want, or click middle mouse button where it creates the center between these 2 lines here. Obviously they're not lined up, so I'm going to do V and line them up. And now we can just go ahead and select all the verts here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, but really it's 12 because we have verts sitting on top of each other. We're going to go to edit mesh and merge. So we have a 3D there. Very nice. Now, one thing that I want to mention is there's never this polygonal edge in the real world. So we always want to make sure to create some sort of what is called in Maya a bevel or a chamfer, really, because a bevel looks more like this actually. It's like a diagonal cut on an edge. And I'll show you actually. I'm going to go ahead and just extrude this really quick for demonstration purposes. So let's say I want to create a bevel. This is a bevel here. I'm I'm not going to explain everything, but I'm just going to click bevel edge. So that there is a bevel. Now to create a chamfer, we can add segments, and this here is a chamfer where it makes it nice and smooth. So I'm going to do Control Z here, and Z works as well without Control. And I want to get rid of these super sharp polygonal edges and have a little bit of a chamfer there. It just makes it look nicer and more natural. And to do that, we're going to be working in subdivisions here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off visibility, and we're going to start getting into subdivision modeling. Okay, so if you click the number 3, it smooths everything out and previews what a subdivision would look like. What's a subdivision? It basically multiplies your geometry to give it more resolution so that you can round out areas. Our geometry is supporting the look of our piece of geometry. So if we wanted to have this edge be more circular, you're going to have more lines to support more points, which means an increase in resolution. So just to keep it clean, I'm going to delete my history here. Edit, delete by type history. And I want to create bevels. It's not necessary that you use, I'm going to actually just do all of the edges here. I know the keychain's thickness that I want it to be. I'm going to do it out here in the real world. I want it to be a total of about, let's say, 8 millimeters thick. So I'm going to just extrude this out about 5 millimeters. So the way I do that, I'm going to go to my measuring cube, grab this, and put 5 here. That's how thick 5 millimeters is. I'm going to go over to my side view, and just so you know, this is my 3D Theory flat plane, and I'm actually going to line this up. So my measurements are accurate. Okay, so from that flat plane on down to here is 5 millimeters. I'm going to grab this 3D Theory logo here and go to Edit Mesh, Extrude. And I'm just going to go to that Move tool and extrude on down to this point, holding V. There you have it. And it turned black because the normals are reversed. So we're just going to want to click this, go to Mesh Display, Reverse. So we're back to normal here. And I'm going to hide that measuring cube. So now that we have thickness here, we're going to do some chamfers now. This seems like an extraneous line, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. So we just have clean geometry here. So I want to get rid of all these really tight, sharp edges here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on all of our edges here. All right, so we got all the edges we want to chamfer. Oh, and it looks like there's one little edge I forgot to click there. Sometimes you can miss it. And you know what? I'm gonna click this edge and this edge as well, just so that chamfer has somewhere to go. And I guess I'm gonna do the same thing with this here, now that I think about it. You know what? I'm probably gonna wanna do it the same to these here. So let's go ahead and click all those edges. And now we have a clean chamfer started. Actually, this will be considered a bevel. And I'm gonna go ahead and increase the segments to, let's say, 4. And now we got nice rounded edges, but this is too much for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on this here, and I'm missing my dialog box that I just did my bevel to. So I'm gonna click T, and my dialog box came back, and I'm just gonna lower the fraction here because I don't want it a lot. I just want it ever so slight. And if it's moving too fast, which in this case I feel like it is, you can click this little pie here, and when it's on just this little slice, it'll move it nice and slow. I'm gonna take a look at that. It's looking better. It's looking a lot better. Very nice. Since I said I want my keychain to be 8 millimeters thick, I think 5 millimeters here was unnecessary. Maybe 2 millimeters would be enough. Then I'm going to click V to magnetize to verts again. Bring that down there. Same for the bottom, exact same method. And now we got a 2.5 millimeter 3D here. All right, so we're almost there. I don't know if you can tell, but we got some aliasing going on, so we can turn on anti-aliasing in the viewport, and we can turn on some ambient occlusion just to give it some shadows. That's looking good. Next, we're gonna go back to top view here, and I'm gonna bring back that image plane. And we have this circle over here. There are many ways to create circles here, so in this case, I'm gonna create a cylinder. I'm just gonna scale that up so it matches about the size of that outer circle. And I don't want it to be so jagged like this, so I'm going to go ahead and increase the subdivisions here and increase it to 40. That's looking good, but let's do 60, maybe even 80. Let's try 100. I'm liking the look of that. It's nice and smooth. As you can see, the more pieces of geometry, the more it enables you to have a smoother circle. I'm actually gonna decrease the size of that circle just a tad bit. There you go. I like the way that looks. So we don't need it this thick, so I'm gonna scale it down. And like I said, I want it to be an 8 millimeter thick keychain. So I got my measuring cube I'm gonna bring back, add 8 to its size. And now I know that this is an 8 millimeter thick keychain. I like 5.5 millimeters. I just checked on my calipers there. So I'm gonna open up my measuring cube and let's do 5.5 millimeters. I'm gonna go into my side view where I have my wireframe turned on. I'm just gonna edit the pivot of this cube to the top there, then bring it to the top of the 3D. And from that point, I can edit the cylinder. I think the 3D is sticking out just a little too much. As a matter of fact, let's make it stick out just halfway. I think I will like the look of that. There you have it. I think that's looking good. I'm going to hide that measuring cube, hide the image plane. So we're almost there. But again, I don't want this CG-like edge, so I'm gonna have to chamfer that as well. Let's grab those and bevel. I'm gonna add segments here. This is on slow, so I'm gonna increase the speed there with that pie chart. And that's looking good. But I still think that rounded edge is a little too much. I'm re-clicking on the cylinder here, click T, and I'm gonna adjust the fraction here so that I want this curve to be not as prominent. And it's moving pretty quick, as you can see. So I'm gonna Control Z that, make it slow again, and just adjust it a tad bit more, and I think that's looking good. Yeah, that is what I like. And finally, we need a spot for the keychain. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a little spot for the keychain. And to do that, I'm just gonna create a torus. And I'm gonna increase the size of that torus. And I want it to be about a 3 millimeter hole for the chain. So I'm going to grab this measuring cube and do 3 millimeters. Maybe that's a little too big, so let's do 2 millimeters. How about 2.5? 2.5 is a good number here. I'm going to grab that measuring cube. I'm going to go into wireframe mode here. And I'm going to actually increase the size of this to about there. So now that we have a 2mm hole, I'm going to keep it the way it is and delete this bottom half and extrude this part out like so. Make sure the bottom is filled up. I'm going to click on these two edges here. Go to Shift, right mouse button, fill hole. So those holes are filled. One thing I forgot to change is the amount of subdivisions, but no need to worry there. I'm just going to go ahead and bevel these edges really quick so that when I subdivide right now, they will hold their form, as you can see with the subdivision preview, and it'll be a lot smoother. So I'm going to go to Mesh, Smooth, and we'll get into subdivision later, but you see that the geometry increased and it's naturally smoother. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just stick this through about that much. Is it about 2.5 millimeters? Yes, it is. That's looking good. All right, so we have our keychain here. Quick little keychain, 3D Theory keychain. To prep our model for the AMS, we need 0 tolerance. So just Booleaning this, which I'll show you right now what all that means, is enough. I'm gonna go ahead and select everything, go to Modify Freeze Transformations, Edit, Delete by Type, History. So it's a nice clean model. And I'm gonna go ahead and select all of it and do Control D, it duplicated it as you can see here. And I'm gonna put this in a layer and you'll see why. So first, the order selection matters here. So I'm gonna click the thing I wanna have something attached to or cut out of. And I'm gonna go ahead and click the keychain holder, this little loop. Now I'm gonna go to Mesh, Boolean. I'm gonna click this top bar, which can rip off a piece of menu, which is an awesome feature from Maya. And in this case, I'm just gonna click Union. Now what did that do? Before I Boolean it, I just remembered that this is not centered. So I'm gonna go ahead and select this cylinder and create a edge in the middle. And then I'm gonna line this up so that it's nice and centered. There you have it. Okay, now that that's centered, I'm gonna delete this unnecessary edge. We don't need it. Okay, now that that's lined up real well, I'm gonna reduplicate it, stick it in this top layer. Okay. Now I'm gonna go ahead and click the cylinder, click the loop, Union. And what did that do? That merged these together. There's no more geometry inside. It's merged as one piece and totally as one piece. So, but there is history, and if you do anything, it's gonna take a second to think about it because it has a lot of history. So you always want to delete your history right after you do Boolean. And second, I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing here, but since I want this to be different colors, I'm gonna do difference. So I click difference, and as you can see, it cut a little hole using that piece of geometry. And the reason why I duplicated it, so I can have that 3D there. But I realize that I don't need anything else. So I'm gonna go ahead and right click this, select objects, and I'm gonna deselect the 3D, and I'll delete that extra stuff that I duplicated. I don't need this layer anymore. And there you have it. We have our 3D, and we have our keychain back. And we're just gonna export these as 2 separate models, just like this. But again, we wanna clear the history. But before we do that, I realized that coming out of Maya, it's helpful to have UVs. And if you don't know what UVs are, we'll get into that sometime later. But basically, it creates 2-dimensional versions of your object. It basically cuts it out and lays it out flat like a cardboard box. But you can open it and lay it out flat so it's 2D. And it enables you to draw textures on it. But for some reason, with the 3D softwares, the 3D printing softwares rather, it's important to have UVs so it can be treated as a piece of geometry. So we're going to go to UV. After we selected our object, go to UV, and just click automatic, and it's as simple as that. Now it has UVs. We're going to go to modify, freeze transformations, edit, delete by type, history. There you go. This thing is clean and ready to go. So I'm going to click on this as a 3D. So I'm going to write 3D because 3 doesn't work. You can't just write 3 in there for some reason in the beginning. And then here's the back. So I'm just going to write keychain back. And again, just to be safe, edit, delete by type, history. And this thing is ready to go into Bamboo Studio. In the film industry, we use OBJs. I'm going to go ahead and select both of these. File, export selection, and we also use FBXs, but I'm just going to use an OBJ here. When you're exporting out an OBJ, you don't need materials usually, so I like to turn materials off. All right, so now we're here in Bamboo Studio. I'm just going to click and drag that OBJ onto my build plate. So this happens kind of often. It says the file contains polygons with more than 4 faces. The file does not contain any geometry data. So let's ignore that. I know exactly why it's saying that. It means there's n-gons. What is an n-gon? An n-gon is a piece of geometry that has more than 4 vertices. So here's a face, and it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 vertices for its face. And I totally forgot that when I boolean, it's going to have a bunch of vertices here per face. So if you see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is just a ton. So what I do, and this is what I mean when I say I don't really pay attention too much to topology, the cleanliness of topology, because towards the end, I click select, use constraints, and I'm going to go ahead in my face mode here. I'm going to click next selection so it knows that whatever limitations or settings I set here, it's going to look for it on the next selection. I'm going to look for n-sided, which all that means is more than 4 vertices per face. And so I select the whole thing, and there's few. So with those faces selected, I'm going to click spacebar, mesh, triangulate. So triangulated them because 3D printing software loves their triangles too. And that about does it. I'm going to actually check the 3D if it has any n-gons, and it doesn't. So I'm going to close and reset. I'm going to run another UV on this, and I'll select everything, modify, freeze transformations, edit, delete by type, history, and I'm going to export this out once again. Export selection. Now, when we bring it into Bamboo Studio, it's going to treat it as a real object. All right, now that we have it in Bamboo Studio, I'm pretty sure most of you know how to use Bamboo Studio real well. So I'm just going to run it through. That's there. I'm going to go ahead and use the paint bucket and fill that in. I'm going to slice it. It's doing it again. I really don't know why there's white there, but maybe on the actual model it won't show up, but I won't know until I try it out. So I'm going to go ahead and save this out, guys, and I'll see you next to the 3D printer. All right, guys, so that wrapped up the modeling portion of that. I really have no idea what happened to my audio, why it got so bad. I'm using the same setup I'm using right now. Maybe because the air conditioning was on in the background. I have no idea. But it got really, really muffled towards the end there. Don't know what happened. And I'm going to see if I can look into getting a better audio setup for when I do those types of videos. But nonetheless, guys, that about wraps it up for today's vlog. Thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, peace, love, and joy.